The State Department says an American citizen has been freed by Syrian authorities. A U.S. official says he is 33-year-old freelance photographer Kevin Patrick Dawes. He was abducted in 2012. The State Department says Russia helped secure Dawes' release. The message from the U.S. to Iraq tonight is it is time to put internal political differences aside and come together against ISIS. President Obama's top diplomat came to Baghdad today to deliver that message personally. Correspondent Kevin Corke has more tonight from the White House.
It was a much-needed show of support for a politically weakened ally. However, Secretary of State John Kerry's surprise visit to Baghdad, his first in almost 2 years, comes as the country's leader, Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi, faces fierce political headwinds at home.
I want to reiterate the support of President Obama, Vice President Biden, myself as Secretary, and the entire administration in the United States for Prime Minister Abadi, who has demonstrated critical leadership in the face of enormous security, economic, and political challenges.
The trip comes as the coalition continues to make headway in the fight against ISIS in Iraq, with a planned offensive to recapture Mosul already taking shape. This as economic turmoil engulfs the Abadi government, thanks to faltering oil revenue, which in turn has led to calls for the Prime Minister's removal, including by his predecessor, former Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki. And while the U.S.-backed coalition continues to reclaim areas of Iraq previously overrun by ISIS, a new report suggests Iraqis are deeply skeptical of U.S. intentions when it comes to fighting the terror group. According to the report in the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad's counter-ISIS messaging, about half of Iraqi Sunnis and Shiites say they completely oppose the U.S.-led coalition fighting ISIS. About 40% of Iraqis believe the U.S. is working to destabilize Iraq and control its natural resources. Nearly a third of Iraqis, meanwhile, think the U.S. supports terrorism in general and ISIS specifically. A sobering revelation considering today's announced $155 million U.S. aid package aimed at helping Iraqis.
The Iranian leaders have claimed that the U.S. created ISIS and continue to support it against the Iraqi people. And I think this really underscores the weakness of the administration's policy in trying to cooperate with Iran in Iraq and in Syria.
A fundamental complication of relationship building in that part of the world, Doug. As you know, the Iranians, like the U.S., are actually backing the Abadi government in Iraq, although certainly you could make the argument the motives couldn't be more dissimilar. By the way, Secretary Kerry today, he said that he did not discuss with Prime Minister Abadi this notion of sending more American troops into Iraq as a coalition tries to make the move on Mosul, but we also know the Pentagon has made it clear they feel like there should be a lot more in the way of troops in Iraq in the weeks ahead. Doug?
Kevin Corke on the North Lawn. Thank you.